And some of you guys might have heard Ruth before, but to get into the sermon, I want to illustrate and tell you the story of Ruth so that you won't be confused as I'm working through the sermon. So Ruth goes a little something like this. I need a volunteer. I need a Ruth. Come on. Come on. There's your chance to my normal friend Priscilla, who's not here today. We're going to pray for Eric, just so you know. Priscilla is not here to volunteer, so thank you, Raina, for volunteering. So we have a woman named Ruth, right? But the story begins with Elimelech, his two sons, and his wife Naomi. So Ruth, it's in Moabite somewhere. She's a Moabite woman. She's a woman. She is a Moab woman. So she's over there somewhere. And during the time the judges rule, a man named Elimelech and his two sons named Mahlon and Chilion, okay, and his wife Naomi, traveled to the land of Moab to avoid the famine. So the scripture begins like this: the time where the judges rule, famine in the land. So I need an Elimelech. Come on, Elimelech. And I need a Mahlon and a Chilion. Come on, you two. And I need a Naomi. You guys are over here. You need to understand the story, okay? So Elimelech, the father, has two sons, and his wife Naomi traveled to Moab. Unfortunately, Elimelech died. So there you go. Thank you for coming. Your stage presence has been fantastic. And I'm so disappointed. It's my chance. It's not happening. And then his other two sons, Chilion and Mahlon, die as well in the land of Moab. So we were left with Naomi, who married, come on, Naomi. Now it's a mother and her daughter-in-law in the land of Moab by themselves, with another daughter-in-law named Orpah. But we're not going to put Orpah in the picture because her life is really quick as well, because she left, you know. But I want to focus on the story of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth and Naomi, a Moabite woman, an Israelite, she is in a foreign land with a daughter-in-law. Now, it's miserable. It's miserable. No sons, no husband, no home. She left her family to be in the household of Elimelech. So now they got to figure something out. Naomi has some land back home. So she says, well, let me go home, and you two, my daughters-in-law, go off to your homeland. I got nothing left. I have no kids left. I got no husband. There's no way you're going to be remarried. There's no way you're going to start another family. Just go home. So Orpah went home, but Ruth turned to Naomi and said the famous lines that you guys should know. Ruth chapter 1, what does she say? Don't urge me to leave you. Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you bury, I will be buried. Where you lie, I will lie. May God deal with me so severely if that separates you and me. So Naomi and Ruth made their way back home. Now, back home, there happens to be a man named Boaz. I need a Boaz. Mike McGovern. Boaz is a little bit older guy, you know. He's an older gentleman. He lost some hair along the way, you know. You look great, by the way. Thank you. So, Naomi, Ruth, Boaz, Naomi told Ruth, why don't you go and glean in the field to get us food? She happens to be gleaning in the field of Boaz. Go. Gleaning. So not too close, not yet. You're still gleaning in the field. He's high standard. Okay, so she happens to be gleaning in the field of Boaz. Now, when she found out that she was gleaning in the field of Boaz, a light bulb went on. Boaz is a kinsman redeemer. Now, in the Jewish law, a kinsman redeemer is someone who would step in to continue the lineage if someone in the family had passed away. It's a law. So she knows and knew and knows the law that Boaz is a kinsman redeemer. So that means if Ruth was gleaning at his field, that means there's an opportunity here for Ruth to be married. So she brings the grain and everything back, and she said, where did you glean? Oh, I glean in the field of Boaz, and he's a great man, and he's a great guy, he's a wealthy man, he's a gentleman, he's a stand-up man, a man of all men, the guy that has a job, and he goes to work, and he showers, and he gets dressed, and he treats his people well. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't use drugs, never been in jail, although he's a man of man, right? He's a godly man. The only downfall is he's a little bit older. Okay, that was a joke, but he was a little bit older. Okay, so that's a downfall. So Naomi had a plan. Ruth, why don't you go to Boaz's threshing floor and wait for him to eat, drink, and party with his friend? Wait until he's really happy, and he's going to fall asleep. So I want you to go where he's sleeping, uncover him. Don't do that. We're in church. But just for acting's sake, uncover him, and he'll tell you exactly what to do. That was Naomi's plan. She trusted Naomi, her mother-in-law, trusted God, knew who she was worshiping, so she did just that. When Boaz, something startled him, who's here? Who's here? And she said, it is I, it's Ruth, and you're my kinsman redeemer. Take me, because we need to continue the lineage of Elimelech. The problem, we have a problem. What's the problem? The problem is Boaz is such a gentleman. Such a gentleman. He said, wait a minute, I know I'm a kinsman redeemer, but I'm a lot older than you. Why would you do that? There is another guy in your line as well. Let me find out from him if he wants to redeem you or not. And if he doesn't, then I will. What a guy. What a guy, right? So he said, just lay here with me until morning, and we'll figure it out. The next morning when they woke up, not only did he not violate her, he gave her extra grain and barley and food and sent her back with her mother-in-law. I told you, this guy is legit. He's a gentleman. He went to another guy who was in the line to redeem her, and he didn't want to, so he ended up redeeming Ruth as his wife, and they gave him a son, and his name was Obed. So they got married. Woo! That's it, and that was the story of Ruth. That was quick. We did a whole series on this, 8 weeks. If you want to go back and listen to it, good. It's really, really good. But that was the story of Ruth. And today I just want to focus on a couple pieces in this story that brings us about Jesus. Ruth's name means friend. And I have a lot of friends. I have friends from all over the world, at the ends of the earth. We have friends everywhere. You name it, we have friends, okay? That's to show you I'm a well-rounded guy. I have a lot of friends. So, one of my friends in high school, we moved to the neighborhood roughly the same time called Palmetto Pines of West Boca. Went to Loggers Run Middle School and went to Spanish River High School together. Played basketball together and whatnot. And one day, senior year in high school, we were at a party, and I heard some commotions outside. And I ran outside just like everybody else, right? You see a commotion, you just run towards it. Kids are so weird, right? There's danger, let me go check it out, right? I think that's just human in general. So there's danger, let's go check it out. So I ran outside, I wanted to see what's going on. I saw my friend, this 6'2", huge guy, got his full scholarship to play basketball at St. Leo University, picked up this guy, and slammed him to the ground, and walked away. I said, well, that was weird. So I follow him, he's my best friend, so I follow him. I said, what'd you do that for? He goes, he stole my bike back in middle school. Really? So I guess that's what you do to people if they stole your bike back in middle school. Okay, I have another friend. It gets even weirder. I have another friend, Carol Lowe, in college. Listen, I both have this friend. She had 31 traffic tickets by the age of 20. I know. How are you even out of jail? How do you even do that? One time she got pulled over by a helicopter. I know. But I remember this story in particular. She was going down the highway, and a car sped right past her. Phew! And right behind that car was police, 3 police cars just going, following the car, and she's driving. She's like, what? So what does she do? She pulls over, the 3 police car passed her, and she pulls back out and went after the police car. Just went, like the gas metal to the pedal and just went. One of the police officers slows down, went behind her, and pulled her over. And he got out to her car, to her window, and he says, what are you doing? She goes, I kid you not. This is her story. She looks out the window, and she goes, I thought we were on the same team. Thank God her dad's a lawyer, so she gets out of all kinds of tickets. I also have a friend who proofreads my paper in college, who proofreads my sermon every Saturday night, and orally read it back to me so I can memorize it. And she takes care of our kids. She makes sure they love the Lord and make sure they eat healthy. And she's a wonderful woman, but she's also a friend. And Liz didn't marry me for my good looks or my perfect grammar or my chicken fried rice. I can make a killer chicken fried rice. It's like in your blood. But God was in the picture, so she was at peace when we got married. Now, when we were dating in college, a couple guys in college were like writing her notes, sending her emails, or whispering in her ears and say like, oh, no, it's a little bit rough around the edges. You might want to be careful, you know. He's a thug from Boca Raton, you know. He cussed here and there, you know, all kinds of stuff. And they trying to get her to like break up with me. And this is my family photo. Those are my kids, my 4 kids. All right. If you want to know anything about my family, just go on my Facebook. I post it a couple times a day. Okay, like 10 times a day. Okay, a little bit more. But I just want to show those guys how we're doing. I'm not bitter. I just want to show those guys how we're doing, okay? So listen, I got married, and she say the famous line, where your God is my God, your people will be my people. Where you lay, I will lay. Where you go, I will go. Where you die, I will die. And may the Lord deal with me it's ever so severely, even death separates you and me. Those were the famous lines of Ruth, and those are the famous lines that we use in weddings all the time. A friend, a true friend, a friend who is absolutely at peace with God because God, it's in the picture. A friend who is at peace in all circumstances simply because God was in the picture. I can't imagine what Ruth is going through. The odds are stacked up against her. Think about this. She's a Moabite woman. That means to the Israelites, she is a foreigner, a stranger, an outcast, and you don't belong here. Naomi has no more kids. That means the chance of her being remarried and establish a family again, it's 0. No home. They have no idea what the condition of their home looks like, but she went. She went. She stayed with Naomi, and she says, don't urge me to leave you. Ruth chapter 1, verse 16. Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me it so ever severely, if even death separates you and me. Did you hear that part? She says, may the Lord deal with me ever severely. Your attention up here, please. This is more profound than you think. When Naomi uttered these words, "Made the Lord deal with me so severely," she has completely put her faith in God, that whatever happens in my life with Naomi, I'm okay with that. Now, as you sit here this morning, as you're watching this at home online, I want you to think about this for a second. You didn't put your trust in God. You didn't put your faith in him because he was an unloving, angry, unfaithful, or dishonest God. You didn't do that. You came to believe, you came to this faith, you came to know Jesus, to love Jesus, to put your faith in Jesus because he is a loving and just God. That he is slow to anger and abounding in love, who is with you from the mountaintops to the valleys of life. You put your faith in him because this God who brought the Israelites literally out of Egypt, and in a spiritual sense, he brought you out of slavery of sin. That's the faith you came to believe. And when you utter these words, "May God deals with me so severely," is because you came to faith in a sense, and for Ruth, whatever happens to me, I'm okay with that because I know who God is. Amen? There was a Jewish man. He was so angry at Christianity that he went from home to home and knock on their doors and say, "Are you a Christian or are you not?" And if they say they are, he drags them out and he killed them. And God got a hold of his heart and he became a missionary. And this is what he wrote in his journal. "I'm out of mind to talk like this. I have worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, and been exposed to death again and again. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. He got punished by his own people. 3 times I was beaten with rods. 1 I was pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I've been constantly on the move. I have been in danger from river, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles who are not Jews, in danger with the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep." This is a man who is at peace in all circumstances because he knew the God that he was worshiping. And he wrote these words, Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. "I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who gives me strength." And I know athletes use this all the time, or we kind of throw these things around like, "Oh, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." Stop. You have no idea. When Paul uttered these words and say, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength," essentially what he is saying is that I know what it's like, and I'm at peace because of the God of Abraham and Isaac that I put my faith in. And I'm at peace in all of my circumstances because God, it's in it. So Ruth's peace got the attention of Boaz. And in Ruth chapter 2, verse 11, continue the story. "I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law. Since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother, your homeland, and came to live with a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Not only did her honorable actions and work ethics catch the attention of Boaz, but he is also a kinsman redeemer. You know what that is. So they have a plan. You heard the plan. Let's go lay next to Boaz. As he was eating and drinking, he was happy with his friend. They're laying down at their threshing floor, and she comes. Ruth chapter 3. This steamy scene, if you want to go back to our sermon's history, you can watch it. Ruth walks in, she approaches him quietly. She uncovers him. Now, back in Bible time, people didn't have, when they go to sleep, they just go to sleep, they just wear one garment. So when she uncovers him, rated R here, he was naked. So it startled him. And she laid down at his feet. And he goes, who are you? I'm your servant Ruth, she said. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you're a guardian redeemer of our family. Let's take a commercial break here, ladies. If you want your man to be happy, follow Ruth's example. Rub his feet and make sure he's fed. Okay? That's it. That's it. Rub his feet. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. Back to the Bible study. Understand this. Ruth is not doing anything wrong here. Ruth is not doing anything wrong. Because in the law, Boaz is a kinsman redeemer. If anything, she's being very unselfish to continue the lineage of Elimelech. So she's offering herself to him. Here I am. You are a kinsman redeemer. I'm following your Jewish law. I'm willing to marry you. She's offering herself to marriage to him. This vulnerable, this woman, no land, a foreigner who's considered an outcast, no husband, no nothing. Offer herself to this man to continue the lineage of a people that she has no business being a part of. The only thing that is wrong with this picture from the outside looking in is that peace in God sometimes look like foolishness to the world, isn't it? Peace in God sometimes looks like foolishness to the world. And Boaz, an honorable man that he is, he says, no, I'm not going to violate you right now. Let me find out that everything's okay. There's another kinsman redeemer. Let me check with him. And when morning comes, we're going to figure all this thing out. So he did what Naomi expected him to do. When she told Ruth to go sleep next to him, Naomi says, he will tell you what to do. And he did exactly just that. From the outside looking in, this is silly. This is crazy. Do you actually believe in this? How can this be? This woman, this innocent woman, going to give up herself to someone to be faithful, to continue the lineage of Jesus? This is crazy. She had a way out. All she has to do is turn away from Naomi and said, I love you, but I got to continue with my life. And sometimes in your faith in God, when the mountaintops becomes to level off and you start to hit the valleys a little bit, your peace begin to rattle. And you usually say, God, let me go over here. But not Ruth. She knew God was in this, and it looks foolish to the world sometimes. And then Jesus came along. In the Garden of Gethsemane, in Mark chapter 14, the disciples were sleeping. His friends were at home in the comfort of their family. The city was quiet. And in the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, sit here, and I'm going to go over here and pray. And the words that came out of his mouth, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch. And he went on to say, Abba, Father, he says, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me. Yet not what I will, but what you will. From the outside looking in, that is crazy. The soldiers are coming. His disciples are sleeping. The families are at home in the comfort of their families. And Jesus is in agony because the will of God is about to come to fruition in his life. And it is scary sometimes. And he says, my soul is overwhelmed to the point of death. At this moment, Jesus has an opportunity to deny everything and walk away from the will of God. At this moment, if he was a fraud, if Jesus was a fraud up to this point, and if he dies and doesn't resurrect in 3 days, there would be no Christianity. Stay with me here, church. If Jesus was a fraud and he walks away in this moment, his ministry is futile. His followers will be abandoned. His families will be executed. His apostles will be put to death. Everything he did in the first 33 years of his life, the moment when he stood in front of the temple and he opened the scroll when he was 13 years old and he says, today the word of God is being fulfilled. And if he walk away in the Garden of Gethsemane because the valleys of following God, and if he wasn't completely at peace with God, his ministry will not exist. And he says, if everything is possible for you, take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. Because having complete peace in God, it looks so foolish to the world. Back in 2018, I walked into Pastor Scott's office and I told him, I said, I felt like the Lord's calling me back in ministry. Fast forward 1 year later, my desk is at the same exact spot when I stood there and I told him that I felt like the Lord's calling me back in ministry. Left behind a very successful basketball program that we built. Pastor Scott moved to Arizona, and the rest is history. Roughly 6-7 months ago, I called a family I barely knew. Maybe I had 3 or 4 conversations with them. Barely knew who they are. Don't even know their kids' names. I thought one of their kid was a boy, but Noah's name was a girl. I didn't know Noah was a girl. And I called them and I said, I had a dream that God is going to move you back here in Boca to help this church. As awestruck as may be, as stressful as may be, the unknown as we all know in following God. They packed up their big home and left the farm and the business and the family that they knew to move down to Boca into a small apartment townhouse and ready to work to preach the gospel here in Boca Raton. You're going to hear about this in the next couple weeks as well. Giving up the American dream. And it's stressful. But you're at peace in God because the God that you came to believe is the same God in your mountaintops and in your valleys. Or maybe it's you. Every Sunday you come, AC's not working right, you're sweating, you're fanning. Let's take a commercial break. Hell is worse. Okay, let's go back. You come every Sunday. Some of you volunteers and some of you write checks, so you drop into the offering box on your way in and out that we barely speak of. Some of you give above and beyond 10%, some even what your needs are, and you give up a little bit of your needs for the sake of the gospel. And many people would consider you foolish to use your precious hard-earned money and give it to the church. You invite your friends to church. You share your faith with your family. You openly and unapologetically stand firm that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through him. Forsaking some of your friends or sacrifice being made fun of. Many people in this world will consider that foolishness. I'm a pastor of a church that's squeezed between a mosque and a Jehovah's Witness center. And I tell you every Sunday that Jesus is the way, the only way, the truth, and the life. Many people would consider me, that's foolish, New. Why would you do that? You were so popular here in Boca. You have so many friends. Why would you stand up here every Sunday and telling the world that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life? Why would you do that? I reflect on the words of Paul to the Corinthian church. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. But to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. Your attention, there's a lot of meat in here. The world tells you that believing in Jesus and rejecting every other religion, it's foolishness. But a Jew named Paul, who Jesus got a hold of, says no, foolishness is dying without Jesus. Foolishness is dying without Jesus. So the end of the book of Ruth, Boaz married her, and they gave her a son. And God gave them a son. And this is what the woman said: may he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. Your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better than the 7 sons, has given him birth. Then Naomi took the child in her arm and cared for him. The woman living there says, Naomi has a son, and they name him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. So Matthew began his gospel with the genealogy of Jesus, and Ruth's name was in it. You know what's interesting is if I did a Bible trivia to begin this sermon, if I asked you what was Ruth's first son, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't say Obed. And yet, in chapter 4, at the end of Ruth's story, the women said, may his name would become famous throughout Israel. It's not Obed who became famous, but rather the very special person who descended from the line of Elimelech to Obed, to Jesse, to David, to Solomon, and on and on and on to Joseph, and then to Jesus, who actually became the most famous name in all of Israel. May you find peace in God, because God is in your life. May Jesus renew your life the same way Obed renewed the life of Naomi and Ruth. May you live a life that will make Jesus famous.